Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
John Trumbull, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, the final SNL Nerds episode of 2024.
They said we couldn't do it. They said we shouldn't do it.
But they said we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but we finished another year of this deeply stupid podcast, and yes. Hey, and thank you for all our listeners who are along for this ride with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you, all you crazy listeners who joined us on this cockamamie ride. All you people, we have gotten some kind words from people that say they appreciate what we do, and it's oh, that's so nice, that's so sweet. So to them, to you folks, we say thank you, and we appreciate you.
This episode dedicated to you. You specifically, not any of the other listeners, just you.
Yeah, those other jamokes can just fuck off. You.
Yeah, you're our favorite.
A long distance dedication to you.
And actually, us just talking about how appreciative we are of our fans, that just made me realize oh crap, yeah, I totally forgot to get up the socials for all the fan comments that we're reading, if we got any.
Whoops. So. Yeah, we did get a few, but we'll read those at the end. We haven't forgotten about you. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I've forgotten about them.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
But,
yes.
but Darren is more conscientious than me. So.
Yes, what can I say? I'm the best.
Yeah, you really are.
I am. I'm the best around.
No one's ever going to keep you down. However that lyric goes.
No,
nothing's ever going to get. Yeah.
That's close enough. Yeah, and then I do a crane kick, illegal crane kick. and smash Johnny Lawrence in the face.
Yep. And then you do a sequel series 40 odd years later.
Yes, about how I'm actually the villain because that crane cooking was illegal and shouldn't be allowed in a tournament.
They get it. I never got started on what was it called? Cobra Kai.
Oh,
nothing against it. It was just one of those things oh, I should watch that. And then before I know it, it's holy crap, there's 4 seasons. That's way too much to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's on the final season now. I think
right.
They did this weird thing where they did 1/3 of the new season in July. Then they aired the second part of the season in November. And then they're going to air the last 5 episodes in February. They really spread it out.
Wow.
They're clinging on to that show for dear might because it was a show. I remember it was a show it debuted on YouTube Red.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
remember that? And no one saw it, but the people that did see it really liked it. And then Netflix picked it up, and then suddenly everybody was like, "Hey, have you ever heard this show called Cobra Kai? It's really good."
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it. I enjoyed it. It's actually it does pick up. It kind of takes itself a little, not too seriously, but it's kind of takes a good serious look about what happened to Johnny Lawrence after the fight and how he grew up to be kind of a loser, and Ralph Macchio's character is a kind of a big deal in the valley, and it's just kind of about that and how they treat a new, younger generation of karate kids to.
Yeah, he revives the Cobra Kai dojo. I understand.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is fun. It has some 80s cheesiness to it, but in a kind of a tongue-in-cheek, loving way. And and the new kids that they got are really good at karate. So if you it's one of those things where you don't really need to have seen the old Karate Kids movie to enjoy it, but it does help. So I think that was the way they were able to sort of usher in a new generation of kids who know nothing about the 80s Karate Kid.
And I know they're doing another karate movie, which is connecting that Karate Kid continuity with the new Karate Kid, the one they did with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith.
Yeah, it's called Karate Kid Legends, and Jackie Chan is now meeting up with Ralph Macchio, but I don't know if this is I guess now the Karate Kids universes are merging because I don't know if this Ralph Macchio is the Cobra Kai Ralph Macchio.
Oh, so it's not in continuity with Cobra Kai?
I think it is, but I don't.
Do we have a Karate Kid multiverse? What the hell is going on?
We might. I don't know. The timelines are so confusing.
Is this a Spider-Man No Way Home situation? One of the kids is going to summon a portal, and then Ralph Macchio steps out.
Exactly. And he takes
You're the Mr. Miyagi of this universe. Oh my god.
Yeah, another Mr. Miyagi of another universe looks like Ken Jeong or something like that.
I would see that movie. I would totally see that movie. I would see him. I want a Karate Kid remake with Ken Jeong playing Mr. Miyagi. That would be hilarious.
I think it could. He probably wouldn't say no to it. I mean, the dude's hosting.
He probably wouldn't. No, I mean,
yeah, he's hosting Masked Singer, and he's doing like ads for like Pampers or whatever. He'd do it.
Okay, let's get our pitch ready for that.
Let's do it. Wow,
yeah.
No, I was gonna say it's really turned to Karate Kid talk all of a sudden.
It really did. I mean, but we enjoy our tangents here on the SNL Nerds. But look, we do eventually get back to our nominal subject, and this week our nominal subject is the movie Elf from 2003, which honestly that blows my mind. How is this movie 22 years old now?
Yeah, I don't like to think about it because it's like, oh wow, time seems to be moving constantly.
I still think of this as a relatively recent movie, but this movie is old enough to drink now. That's nuts. That's crazy town.
It's pretty bonkers. This movie came out November 7th, 2003. Directed by, of course, the great Jon Favreau.
Right.
Written by David Berenbaum. And this is like actually the first film Berenbaum wrote.
Yeah, it was like a spec script.
Yeah. And he knocked it out the park with this one. Then he'd go on to write The Haunted Mansion with Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
What else he wrote? Zoom, a movie with Tim Allen, Courtney Cox.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You do?
Well, I remember that there was a movie called Zoom.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember the movie Zoom in terms of having seen the movie Zoom. I remember that there was a movie starring Tim Allen called Zoom.
Yeah, he wrote that. Tim Allen, Courtney Cox, Chevy Chase, keeping our SNL theme.
Oh well, hey, possible film for us then. Hey.
We'll talk about it. And then he also wrote the Spiderwick Chronicles.
Oh yeah, okay. Again, I've heard of that.
Vaguely remember. So this film had a budget of $33 million, went on to make $228 million.
Oh, that's more.
That is more. This was a big old hit. Like, I think this was the film that kind of, solidified Will Ferrell as a box office bona fide bankable movie star for sure.
Yeah, well, this was his first lead role. Like the movie was greenlit because like Will Ferrell had done Old School, and Old School was pretty successful, and so they greenlit this, and it 33 million. That's not a huge budget.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and then after he does this, he does Anchorman, and
woo.
It was interesting to revisit it. I hadn't seen this movie in years. I'd seen Elf before, but it'd been a long time since I'd watched it from beginning to end. It was like just kind of a movie like you come across on TV and you watch a few minutes of it, but then maybe you go back to channel flipping. That's how it is for me. Like you'd seen it before, I'm assuming, right?
I remember seeing it before. I mean, this was the rise of Will Ferrell, and everybody, like most of the rest of America, I thought he was hilarious in Old School, and I was like, all right, let's watch Elf, and I watched Elf, and I thought he was hilarious in this. He pretty much carries this whole movie on his back, I'd say.
It's really interesting because he gives a pretty out there performance. I don't like calling performances brave or things like that, but he is going for it. He is. I mean, this could have backfired on him really, really easily, and apparently, even James Caan was like, yeah, I didn't think your performance was very good. And then he saw the movie and he was like, oh, no, it works in the movie. So,
yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, James Caan's performance, he plays Walter Hobbs, who's, Buddy the Elf's father. I don't know. What do you think about his performance? Because at sometimes he seems like he's giving sort of a different performance than what the film calls for. He seems like more like I don't know. Every time I watch him, I feel like he didn't quite understand the vibe of the film.
Well, I think it works because he is really underplaying it, and I think it works in that it contrasts with what Will Ferrell is doing. Because Will Ferrell is so big, I think it would be a mistake for James Caan to try and be similarly big.
That makes sense. I know, like Tommy Lee Jones made that mistake when he was in Batman Forever with
that's a perfect example. He tried to match Jim Carrey's energy, and I think Tommy Lee Jones should have just leaned into like the deadpan thing that Tommy Lee Jones does so well, or been like the serious scary villain, and then Jim Carrey could be the wacky crazy villain. But I guess it always looks more fun to be the wacky, crazy Batman villain.
Yeah, no, it's like being like the lead man or the lead singer in a band. Like that looks like fun, but somebody's got to play rhythms. You need a bass player.
You need a bass player. You need the drummer. You need you need the guy on the cowbell.
Yeah, you can't both be lead guitars. That's what I'm saying.
No,
like 2 lead guitars, that's too much.
No, yeah. So I mean, this film though, killer cast. We got Will Ferrell, we got James Caan. Mary Steenburgen is in this. Zooey Deschanel, Bob Newhart, Ed Asner as Santa Claus.
Yes, the late great Ed Asner, the late great Bob Newhart, and the late great James Caan. A lot of late greats in here.
Yeah, too many dead people in this movie. I'm just gonna say,
too many deads.
Too many dead people. All these people should still be with us.
Absolutely. But yeah, like this was I don't know. Yeah, and this movie went on to become like a holiday staple in a holiday movie. But I think Jon Favreau said that like he was set out to make like a Christmas movie that was timeless, that didn't feel like it was captured at any particular time, that wasn't dated. Like he wanted something that you could put on in any, in the years to come, and it would still feel fresh and good and relevant.
Yeah, and I think that's a very smart way to do it. Like because ideally you want your Christmas movie to be like a perennial thing that people revisit every year, and there's not like a lot of contemporary or topical references in this.
No, not really.
Yeah, so it still works. It still works perfectly well. Yeah,
I would say so. Absolutely.
So I like, we start out, we got Bob Newhart narrating, and we got Bob Newhart as an elf. Already, that's hilarious. I mean, because Bob Newhart's so wonderfully deadpan, just seeing him dressed up as a Christmas elf, that's pretty great.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He explains that there are only 3 jobs that are available to elves. There's making shoes, making cookies in a tree, which is really dangerous in the dry season. We see like these elves running out of a burning tree, which is a pretty funny Keebler elf joke.
Those elves are the reason that half of California burned down. So
that's right. That's why we have the wildfires.
That's right.
And then cookies. The primo elf job is building toys in Santa's workshop. That's the ideal elf job. And then we get a flashback kind of explaining Buddy the elf's backstory. We got Santa Claus. We got Ed Asner as Santa Claus, and he's like making his rounds, and he goes by this orphanage, and baby Buddy crawls into Santa's bag, and Santa like doesn't notice until he gets back to the North Pole. I guess the orphanage was like his last stop of the night.
I guess so. Yeah, it's one of those things where the baby just crawled into the bag, and Santa didn't realize there was a human baby child in his bag, and he just took off. And when he got to the North Pole, he's like, "Oh, there's a baby in here."
Yeah. And so okay, let's review. He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. But if a baby crawls into his bag, nope, no idea.
Fair enough.
There are limits to Santa's omniscience, I guess.
Absolutely. He doesn't see all. Know all, apparently.
Santa is like nearsighted, I guess.
I guess. So he goes to the North Pole with the baby in the bag, and he sees that he gives it to Papa Elf, Bob Newhart, to raise as his own, because Papa Elf is somebody who's always wanted a child but just gotten too busy with work to start a family. So this is his kid now. So it's like it's almost like a Tarzan origin, where he's being raised by elves.
I'm not sure why they never were like, hey, we should just take this baby that we accidentally picked up back to the orphanage. Because they all seem to know that the baby came from the orphanage.
Yeah, like we'll get to it, but when Bob Newhart's Papa Elf gives him like the picture of his dad, it's like, well, where'd you get that picture from? Like,
I know, I was wondering that too. I mean, they really kind of yada the backstory.
Yeah, they really did. Like, did you get that from the orphanage?
Yeah.
You could have.
I just don't understand how let's keep this baby and raise him as an elf. I don't get how that makes more sense than, hey, let me take one more trip back and take back this baby that I accidentally kidnapped from an orphanage.
Yeah, it's like,
Uh,
oh well, no, it's not Christmas, so I can't leave the house now. So yeah, sorry.
yeah, yeah. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's some force field around the North Pole, so Santa can't leave for the other 364 days of the year. I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know how this makes sense.
it really doesn't. If you
It
if you think
really
about it
doesn't.
too, if you think about it too much, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but for the sake of there being a movie, I'll go with it. And
Yeah.
they name him Buddy because he's wearing the little Buddy diapers, and they assume that that's his name.
Yes,
Um,
the Calvin Klein method of naming people.
I've never met anyone who has their name on their underwear, Calvin. Um,
Oh boy. Uh, yeah. So as he grows up, he's raised by elves. He does all
yeah,
the elfin things, and he finds out he's not very good at being an elf. He so for some
yeah.
reason he doesn't have a knack for making toys like elves do, and
He's a cotton-headed ninny muggins, is what he is.
that
I know.
sir, that's a slur. How could
I
you?
know. I know. Yeah, only they can use that word.
And
uh, yeah,
yeah,
he only completes 85 etch-a-sketches when he's supposed to complete like 1,000 in a day. And I like that all the elves are just like they're all very happy.
yeah.
None of the elves are bitter or resentful of Santa. They're all just like, "Hey, we're making toys. Isn't this great? Isn't this wonderful?" And even the other elves are nice to him, even though Buddy doesn't get it.
Yeah, like everybody's like super supportive and it's super nice.
Yeah, and apparently that was like a conscious choice from John Favreau because originally they were going to go for like a Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer thing where they were mocking him
Oh,
and being being mean, and Favreau was like, "No, no, no, no. They should all be really positive."
okay,
So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get it. Like if because it does. I mean, I guess it would be easy to sort of go that like the mean routes and
yeah,
maybe just being nice and positive isn't cool. But like, I'm glad they did that to sort of keep it.
yeah, I'm glad they went that way too. By the way, did you just spot Peter Billingsley?
That was Ming Ming, right?
Yeah, yeah. Peter Billingsley, who's best known for A Christmas Story, he plays Ming Ming, who's like sort of his supervisor elf. And Buddy overhears him saying like, "Well, if he hasn't figured out he's a human by now, I doubt he ever will." So, Buddy's very sweet, but he's very slow on the uptake, and he somehow has never put two and two together and said like, "Hey, I'm like much huger than all these other elves around me, and this world is not built for my size. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm actually a human."
yeah. Like I mean, it's even super funny because Will Ferrell is a real tall dude in real life.
Yeah, he's
So
like well over 6 feet, I think.
yeah, yeah, he is. So it's like it's extra funny to see him try to put on elf shoes, try to take a
Mm,
shower and like
yeah,
a super small shower where he just sticks out.
trying to sleep
And
in an elf-sized bed, and yeah,
yeah, it's hilarious.
and we get all these cool forced perspective shots of full size Will Ferrell with all these other because like it's all like regular people playing the elves, and they're just shot in like larger sets so they look small and that's a fun way to do it. Like Favreau intentionally went very retro with his special effects in this.
Yeah, no, I can see that, especially when they meet the Arctic puppets
Yeah,
when he goes
that's so
runs out.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they're very reminiscent of the classic Rankin Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special, which I just watched a few days ago. Um,
Ooh,
Very fun, and apparently, like at first they weren't sure if they would get the rights to those characters, but as it turns out, that because they had an error in the copyright notice in the film, they did the Roman numerals wrong, so
right.
so it didn't say 1964. It was like you know 964, I
Oh,
think. Yeah. So it was technically in public domain, so the rights were free and clear. So they were able to. That's why it's so reminiscent of the Rankin Bass stuff.
oh, so they got it for due to like a clerical error.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
wild.
Because if you don't do that copyright stuff like just right, or if you don't renew it at the right time, it falls into public domain. Yeah, it's nutty, right?
Yeah, that is. Wowee, that is wild.
Yeah, but I just was rewatching the Rankin Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer special, and my housemate was pointing out, he was like, "Yeah, they got the copyright notice wrong, so this fell into the public domain." And I was like, "Oh, geez, I didn't realize that." And then, just a few days later, I'm watching this, so it's funny.
Wow. Okay. Did not know that. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, I mean, but those
And
Arctic puppets did look pretty cool. Like when they
yeah.
had that Burl Ives snowman
Mm-hmm.
voice. They call him Leon because, of course, he's voiced by Leon Redbone, the
Oh
great.
yeah, yeah,
And I was
yeah.
like, oh yeah, look at that. That looks pretty cool.
And he looks just like the Burl Ives snowman.
Yeah.
And so that they finally decide to Newhart decides to break it to Buddy. He's like, actually, you're human. Your dad is in New York City. You like, and like they know who his parents are, and they're like, yeah, your mom died like years and years ago. Maybe that's why they decided to keep him. And they do say his dad is on the naughty list, so maybe they decided they could bring him up better. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, but that part. I guess the first time I see it, I didn't think about that much, but like the second time, I was like, yeah. Well, first of all, where did you get that picture?
Yeah,
And like, and I mean,
and
how'd you get all
we
this?
see the same picture in James Caan's college yearbook,
Yeah.
and it looks like a real picture of like young James Caan with a guitar, and yeah,
Yeah, and it's like, how'd you get all this information about his backstory and whatnot?
yeah, like,
And it's just like, all right, and yeah, I guess maybe that's it. Maybe they just figure, well, he's an orphan. His father didn't
right,
know about him. Maybe there's no guarantee somebody else will adopt him. So maybe we would do a better job than raising him than somebody else.
maybe that was it.
Uh,
Okay, let's go with that.
let's go with that. All right,
Yeah, it's
continue.
yeah. So it's a loving environment. Well, we should also mention that we find out a little about Santa's operation. We see Santa working on his sleigh, and he's got this device called a clausometer in his
Mm.
sleigh, which monitors how much people believe in Santa. And apparently, the clausometer has been low in the last few years because not as many people believe in Santa Claus.
Oh, wow. I
So,
wonder if this will come into play later in the movie.
I mean, who can tell? Who can tell? I mean, who knows?
Who knows? It's
Who knows? I mean,
hard to tell.
anything's possible, I suppose.
Hmm. But yeah, so Papa Elf tells Buddy that yeah, your father actually he lives in New York City. Give him a
Hmm.
snow globe of
Yeah,
New York City,
with the Empire State Building inside. Yeah.
of course. It's like he works in the Empire State Building in
Hmm.
publishing,
Yeah.
and so yeah, so Buddy goes off to see his dad, his father,
Yeah. He gets on a
and
little ice floe and, he just starts sailing to New York City.
yeah, and then he just walks from the South Pole to New York City.
North Pole.
North Pole, right? South Pole. North. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because later in the movie, he says, like, oh, he must be from the South Pole
Oh, right.
when he finds a mean person. Um, yeah. And I love how he's like waving goodbye to the stop motion
Yeah,
North Pole creatures. And they're just randomly there. And it's very funny.
yeah. A narwhal comes out for no reason.
Yeah, yeah, and you think like, oh, the narwhal's going to attack him, but no, it's just this friendly narwhal saying goodbye, and that's very funny. That's one of my favorite jokes in the movie.
Bye, bye, buddy.
Yeah,
Hope you find your dad.
yeah, and I think it was John Favreau doing the voice of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I can
I
see
read that.
that.
And also, I noticed in the closing credits, Ray Harryhausen is credited as the voice of the polar bear cub.
Oh,
So I was like,
oh.
that's really cool because like Ray Harryhausen, he's like a titan of stop motion animation. He did like Jason and the Argonauts and
Ooh.
all these classic uh, adventure films, like up to Clash of the Titans in the early '80s.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he's just incredible. Yeah,
Oh, that's fantastic. Look at him paying homage to the people before him. That's neat.
yeah, I really like that. I was like, wait, was that Ray Harryhausen's name I saw? And then I like rewound it like 10 seconds. I was like, yes, it was Ray Harryhausen. That's really cool. I didn't know that.
Well,
So,
I'll be a son of a gun.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. All right, so yeah, so his buddy's walking to New York City. He tries to hug a raccoon at one point.
Yes.
He just like kind of walks, through the forest. He makes his way to the Lincoln. He walks through the Lincoln Tunnel
Yeah, for
at one point
reals.
for
Yeah.
realsies, and then boom, he makes it into New York City. Actually, I think I saw somewhere in like the trivia that there were some traffic accidents happening when he walked through the Lincoln Tunnel. They
Yeah,
were
yeah, because
filming.
apparently, like, people were actually reacting to seeing Will Ferrell in elf costume walking around, and so there were a few minor traffic accidents. And a lot
Oops.
of the scenes on New York City, they just kind of grab those on the fly. Like there's a scene where Buddy reacts to this guy, this a gentleman with a white beard, and he's in a red tracksuit, and he's like jogging along, and Buddy reacts to him. And apparently that was just a real dude that Will Ferrell reacted to, and then they got clearance from him after. Like, that's amazing that wasn't a setup.
Yeah, it did feel like there was like this, like that montage while Pennies from Heaven plays in the background, where it's just like Will Ferrell doing stuff, and some of it did seem like kind of like him just goofing around. Like at one point, somebody's trying to wave down a cab. Will Ferrell just hops in and waves back at him, like "Hello."
Yeah, because he thinks he's waving hello, and it's nice because it shows like Buddy's naivete.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he's going through a revolving door at the front of a building, and he just thinks it's a ride, and he's just going round and round and round, and he's having the time of his life.
Yeah, like at one point he walks past like a coffee shop or a cafe, and it says, world's best coffee, and then he sees a sign and he goes in to congratulate everybody. Like, you did it, guys! World's best, we did it! All right.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you all.
We see him like taking wads of gum off the the subway gate, and even though they warned him about that, and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's fake because it's a movie, but it's still, that's so gross.
So it gives me the gross outs. So then he makes his way to the Empire State Building, goes into an elevator for the first time. Somebody walks in with him, presses the button that they want to go
presses
to.
all the buttons because he's like, it looks like a giant Christmas tree.
I can imagine that guy's like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm the top floor. Fuck.
Yeah. And of course, the Empire State Building, it's so high. It's like 86 stories high. Elevators can't go up that high. There's like, I think you're limited to 80 floors is like the maximum amount an elevator can go up, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
it's something
that's right.
like that. So yeah, you have to take like a couple of elevators to get up to the top of the Empire State Building.
Oh, wow. So he's not even, if he goes to the top, he's not even, he has to, wow. All right. Well, sorry.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I know. This movie's based on a lie. It sits on a throne of lies.
Yeah. It smells like beef and cheese.
Yep.
So he gets to his father's office and sees his secretary, Deb, played by the great Amy Sedaris.
We got Jerry Blank up in this.
I know, right?
Damn.
I like how like she's on the phone with somebody talking about declawing kittens. Like, I think she just improv that at the flies. Like,
and she says like, "Oh, just bring him by the camper," and all, because the implication is she makes so little money she can't afford a place in New York City, so she lives in a camper.
That's the most real thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I totally forgotten that Amy Sedaris was in this, and like all sorts of people are popping up in this movie, and I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that you were in this movie.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like sort of comedy improv people that are like well known that just pop up in this. We'll get to it. We'll get to that.
Yeah. They'll come up organically. So he meets his dad, played by James Caan. James Caan does not take this well. He thinks he's like some sort of Christmas gram thing.
Yes.
And he's like, are you going to sing a song or something? And like Buddy improvs this song about like, hi, I'm your son and you're my dad and I want to go ice skating with you. And
I love you. I love you.
Yeah. And it doesn't go well. James Caan thinks he's a kook. He has security throw him out.
But he has security throw him out after after Buddy mentions Susan Wells. No relation to Josh Wells. And but once he mentions that, once he says that name, he's like, "Who told you about Susan Wells?" Like,
why did you say that name?
Oh God, I still haven't seen Batman v Superman because of that. For all the stuff I heard about that moment. But
oh yeah.
All my friends.
It's just as goofy in context. I guarantee it.
Okay, good to know.
I mean, there's a reason people make fun of that moment because it just does not work at all. I know what they were going for and all that, and I don't want to turn into a big Batman v Superman bash fest, but no, that moment doesn't work.
I mean, the fact that both their moms is named Martha is a coincidence, but I don't know if that's strong enough to like form this bond between the two of them.
And I think you can make a moment out of that. You can do something with that, but I think that's much more better suited for like a gentle joke at the end of the movie in the epilogue, rather than what you hinge the turn of your entire dramatic climax on. That's just me.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I co-sign
that.
Mm.
But look, that movie has a lot of problems.
Oofa.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't seen it, though.
I have. I mean, just from the looks of it, when it came out, I was like, this looks like it's going to be whack. And then everybody kind of confirmed my thoughts that, it was whack.
It is indeed whack.
And I just never sort of was curious enough to go watch it just to say that I saw it. I was just like,
I think it was one of those movies where I was like, okay, I'll feel like a hypocrite if I criticize this without seeing it, so I should probably see it so I know where I'm speaking. And
right, agreed, but
so that it was one of those, it was like, okay, well, I guess I have to see this thing. And
but Batman v Superman, should I watch it or not, listeners? Let me know.
Oh God! Now we're gonna hear from the Snyder Bros.
Oh my God! I'm sorry. Like, it's actually a masterpiece. Actually, Zack Snyder was actually creating some really interesting things that maybe you're not too smart enough to capture. That maybe James Gunn is gonna ruin because he's gonna ruin everything.
Yeah, exactly. So you basically have absorbed this movie through cultural osmosis already. Like,
absolutely.
And sometimes that happens. I to this day have never watched Titanic all the way through, but I could summarize it just through cultural osmosis.
Yeah, I think I watched that movie once, and I remember bits and pieces, but didn't stick with me the way a lot of that movie. That's another movie a lot of people.
Well, you weren't a 12-year-old girl when it came out, so
that I know of.
Well, yeah. I'm assuming. I didn't know you back in the late 90s, so.
They called me Dariana.
Well, that's great. I support your choice.
Absolutely. See, there we go. Pro-choice. Look at us here.
Yeah.
So Buddy gets kicked out.
Security throws him out. Apparently, like Will Ferrell's brother was playing one of the security guards. He throws him out.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
That's neat.
That's nice. And I think as they're throwing him out, one of them says, why don't you go back to Gimbals?
And I was like, I totally forgotten that Gimbals was part of this movie. It's nice that Gimbals has their own Christmas movie now. We've had years of Miracle on 34th Street and Macy's hogging all the action. Gimbals gets some recognition finally, even though they apparently went out of business in 1986.
They did, but I think that's one of those things where Favreau said, it had to be Gimbals because, again, he wanted wanted this thing to be timeless. So to maybe name it after a store that's still around would like date it. So he went.
Well, apparently they shot some stuff in Macy's, or they wanted to shoot some stuff in Macy's, and Macy's said, if you shoot here, you can't have the scene with the fake Santa Claus, where a Santa Claus is called out as being fake.
Oh.
And so Favreau said, we had to make a very tough decision. So they then decided to change the store to Gimbals. And they even went to the point of like changing digitally some of the shots. So that it was like, instead of seeing Macy's, we see Gimbals. So, yeah.
All right, fantastic.
Right.
I did not know that.
That's creative. That's neat.
Either way, Gimbal lives.
Gimbals lives. Somehow Gimbals returned.
Yes. So then we see Buddy go into the department store. You see some more antics in there. Like I believe the perfume ladies saying, "Oh, would you like to try some passion fruit spray?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, thank you." And of course he sprays it right into his mouth. Freaks out.
Fruit. Yeah.
And he's goes like, "Oh, ew." He like, kind of freaks out because perfume doesn't taste good.
Yeah, and he goes in there, and because he's in his full elf outfit, it's not a costume; it's an outfit. He is mistaken for one of the workers there by the manager,
played by Faison Love. Yeah, because I think he's Buddy is hanging around the lingerie section, saying because he says, I see the sign saying, "Oh, for that special someone." Interesting.
Yeah, and again, the Buddy's taking everything at face value, so he's like, he doesn't realize the implication in that.
Yes.
And and we have Faison Love as the manager. Apparently that part was originally supposed to be played by Wanda Sykes.
Yes, I think I heard that.
And she dropped out at the last minute for some reason, but Faison insisted on keeping the same name tag, so he's wearing a name tag that says Wanda, which
hey,
I love that. That's just a great random touch.
Yeah, very nice. Hey, I was Dariana. He can be Wanda.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like Faison Love worked on another film with Jon Favreau before this, so that's how they kind of knew each other.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So. They have a friendship.
Yeah, Faison Love's very funny in this movie. I liked him, and he meets another elf worker, Zoe Deschanel, playing Jovi. What an unusual name!
Really is. That's quite a quirk. You don't. I mean, except for Bond, you don't meet too many Jovies in this world today.
Yeah, it's just Jovi. It's just blonde Zoe Deschanel, just joviing up the place.
Joviing up, jovial.
But she is ironically not especially jovial.
Oh,
so, yeah.
I see what you did there. But yeah, this was like the time where Zoe was kind of everywhere for a while. Like she was kind of the it girl in Hollywood for a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, she wasn't really a household name yet. This is like pre New Girl Zoe Deschanel.
Okay, but she had like a few years there where she was just kind of everywhere.
Yeah, I enjoy Zoe Deschanel. I'm always happy to see her pop up and stuff. I find her charming, and she's pretty. She probably smells nice.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a little Katy Perry.
Yeah, she's engaged to or married to a property brother I know.
Oh yeah, the long-haired one. I don't know.
Is one of them has long hair?
One of them has long-ish hair, and the other one has like kind of short-ish hair. That's how you can tell them apart.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right.
Got himself a property bro.
Yeah, and they seem very happy. They seem cute on social media. So I'm just like, well, good for them.
Good for them.
Good for them.
Yeah, but so everybody's getting the mall ready, or their section of the mall or the store ready.
Yeah, the Santa's North Pole, and
exactly. Yeah. And they're all they're decorating trees, putting up decorations, and the whole 9 yards. And Buddy just is just really likes Jovi, and tries to get her to sing and all that stuff. So they have
she doesn't want to sing in public. Which is kind of funny because like Zoe Deschanel is kind of well known for singing.
Yes, absolutely. That's what
but Buddy's like, oh, this doesn't really look like the North Pole. There's no snow, and so he ends up decorating the North Pole area while the store is closed. And apparently, Buddy doesn't need to sleep very much, so he has like the whole night to like basically remake this entire section of the store. And he builds, he like takes stuffing out of pillows for fake snow. He makes like those paper snowflakes and those chains. And
he makes like a whole Lego town at one point.
Yeah, he makes like a little Legos Empire State Building, a Chrysler Building, and some other skyscrapers. And yeah, it just looks great. He kicks it up a notch.
Yeah, it makes a Welcome Santa sign out of light brights.
The
whole Megillah.
Yeah, and so everybody comes in the next morning and they're like, "Hey, where'd all this come from?" And Faison Love is like, "Oh shit, they're like gunning for my job. They brought in somebody outside to do this."
Yeah, yikes. Oh boy. And but so he's able to do all this, and like since he's there all night, he's able to hear when Jovi comes to the store and like showers, because I guess Gimbals has showers for their workers, and while she's alone in the shower before anybody else.
She's showering there because she says they shut her water off at her apartment.
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, like I don't know, do department stores have showers for their workers? That's like the first time I've ever heard anything like that.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's possible. I didn't think it was that strange. I can see it happening.
All right. Okay.
Like there's some sort of locker room. I mean, because if you have all these holiday workers and they have to be in costumes, it's like Santa or elves. They do have to have a locker room area to change. So yeah, maybe they have a shower there.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know. Folks, call in. Let us know. Have you ever worked in a big time department store? And if so, do they have showers?
Did you ever shower at Macy's? Let us know.
Yeah. Did you ever sing "Baby It's Cold Outside" while you were showering at Macy's or Gimbals?
Yeah. While a man dressed as an elf stood right outside your shower singing along with you.
Right. And if they do that, we're not going to kink shame you.
Yeah. Hey, man.
That's totally fine. You live your life.
However you get through the day.
Yeah, but she's singing the song "Baby It's Cold Outside." Okay, where do you stand on the big "Baby It's Cold Outside" controversy?
Um,
Do you think it's a nice song, or do you think it's a creepy song?
uh, hmm. I understand how some people could interpret it as being a little predatory, but
Uh huh.
I don't know. I think it rides that line of like, no, it's not really. Hmm. I got to read the lyrics again just to see where
Yeah.
I
See,
stand on it.
I'm of the no. It's not a creepy song because I think it's presented wrong a lot of times. Like the original movie, I can't remember the name of the movie it was used in, but it was some movie, and Ricardo Montalban is actually one of the singers in the original song, and I forget who he was singing opposite.
Okay.
Um, I want to say Esther Williams was in this movie or something. It's somebody we know. I didn't look it up. I'm afraid, but like when they're singing it, it's so obvious. It's like this flirty song where it's like they both know they're gonna hook up and get together, but she's kind of like making excuses because that's the cultural expectation. You have to be
Yeah.
like, oh, I put up you put up a front, like, because nice girls don't do this sort of thing.
Exactly.
And when it's sung in that light, I think it's a really fun, charming, flirty song. And but some people are like, oh, she says like, oh, what's in this drink? He put a roofie in there, and it's like,
Oh my. Yeah.
no, that's just you bringing your creepy shit into it.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I can see that. Yeah. If you read all the lyrics, it kind of is like she kind of. See, I don't want to sound like some like man bro or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
she wants to stay, bro. She wants it, but like it
Well,
does. If you read
yeah.
the lyrics, she's kind of like you said, like kind of doing this little dance that we all do, where it's like, I
Yeah.
should leave, but I really want to stay, and
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
to
She's
like,
like, "Oh, I have to get home," and he's like, "Oh no, you can't get a cab. It's so snow. The weather's so horrible. Please stay here with me." And I think if you present it in like, yeah, we both know what's going to happen,
yeah,
and
we
and
know,
and present it
yeah,
in a flirty way, then I think it's a fun song.
yeah, we know what's going down, baby. Come on now. that's
Yeah,
that's my
but
version of "Baby It's Cold Outside."
it's somehow been hijacked into this whole creepy sexual predator thing, and I'm like, that's just a weird interpretation of the song.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people feel like they just need to, cling on to a cause or fight,
Yeah,
or
I don't.
find
That's a weird
problems.
one.
It is.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Let us know if we're wrong, folks. But I don't think we are. I think
Mm.
it's a cute
This
little.
fictional woman in this song is getting assaulted.
Oh my god.
Well, that's what it reads like to me when I read one of these rants about it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's fine. It's a fine song. We're
I
all
will
adults here.
say, okay, like Buddy is outside the shower and he's just singing along. He's like, just he comes in and he wanders in because she's singing in the shower, and then she thinks like he's there for a creepy pervy reason, and she forgives him like really quickly.
Yeah, that again. That's
She
another.
forgives him really easily.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's sweet. He stands outside my shower.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a little. I mean, I get it because like Buddy's our main character, and he's like
yeah,
we find him
and he's
charming and
very
all.
innocent, and we're doing like a family movie here. But I mean, I've never tried that in real life. I feel like if I snuck into a locker room to listen to Zoe Deschanel sing in the shower, I don't think that would go over quite so well.
It would not. Please don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think like we would go
Mm,
ice skating and she would like, oh no, don't kiss me on the cheek, kiss me on the lips. I don't
mm.
think that would be the end of our relationship there.
No, I think you'd get a restraining order and
Yeah,
be
I feel
and be asked to never come back to Gimbals again, and maybe be put on some
right.
sort of list.
And stay 200 yards behind her at all times.
Absolutely.
Uh yeah, so and they would be right for saying that.
Yes, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, what? Where are we? Yes.
anyway,
Well, I mean,
uh,
we can talk about at this point now where
mhm.
we could talk about Walter Hobbs's family, because we get introduced to his
Yes,
wife and son, and we see that like Walter Hobbs, he's a bit of a workaholic. He's constantly working, even when he should be having dinner with his family. Mary Steenburgen plays his wife Emily, who's like super nice and understanding about a lot of things throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's Mary Steenburgen, so
she's
you
pretty
know,
great.
I don't think I've ever seen her play like a bitchy part. I mean, not that she doesn't have it in her, but she just kind of projects niceness, you know?
She gives off warmth, radiates.
Yeah, she does. She does. You know, like her and Ted Danson, whenever I see them together, I'm just like, oh, I want them to adopt me.
Yeah. Dear Mr. Danson and Miss Steenburgen, you don't know me, but I would like to.
I am a 52-year-old man. Would you please adopt me?
Looking for parental figures, and
I
think you guys are the
and
best.
I feel like they would at least consider it.
Yeah,
you know, because they're just that nice.
They'd be like, well, let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, let's talk. We'll give you a call. We're not promising anything, but let's we could at least put you up for a weekend.
Let's do a Zoom call first.
yeah, exactly, and that's reasonable. Yeah,
that's fair enough.
It's very practical.
Yeah, so she's like super nice. His son Michael is kind of the son who's like, oh, Dad's always working. He never wants to spend any time with us.
He's never working, and he's like, no, I've got this big presentation coming up at work because I'm a movie character, and that's how work works.
Yes, exactly.
I read this great thing recently. It might have been on Cracked, or it might have been one of their old after hours videos, but it was talking about how like movies constantly get people's jobs wrong because like in movies it's always like somebody has like a big presentation or a big pitch at work or it's a big project, and they were saying like because that's how movie people relate to work, because they movie people don't have typical jobs, but they have like big projects making a movie, or they're making big pitches for their next movie. So that's how they always translate day-to-day jobs into their idiom.
Yeah. Everybody does big pitches.
Yeah, but it's like, but in real life, like most jobs are really just like doing the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yeah. Mostly monotony.
You're right. And that has its own pressures, but in a movie, it's always like, oh, I've got this big thing coming up at work. And, that's the way they always present it. And that's very much what James Caan is doing here, because he's a book publisher. He's just published a book, and there were these 2 pages that were blank at the end of the book. And he's like, oh, we can't do a reprint because that would cost us $30,000. So let's just run it with those 2 blank pages at the end.
No one will be the wiser.
Yeah. And of course, his boss very rightfully balls him out for that and says, we need another thing for this quarter, so you have to give me a pitch. And it's due on Christmas Eve. And
right.
Okay, look, I'm not in the book publishing world, but I know enough about it to know that no, books aren't playing that quickly. It's like at least a year in development.
Yeah, and like no one works. I mean, I won't say no one works on Christmas Eve, but a lot of people, like for a lot of people, Christmas Eve is just like, yeah, we're all at the office that day. Like no one's coming in.
Right. Yeah, and they're having a meeting, and it's like after dark on Christmas Eve, and I'm just like, that wouldn't happen. Why did you not schedule this meeting during the daytime? Why didn't you say like 9 a.m. on the 24th?
It's a special emergency meeting that needs to take place 10 o'clock at night on Christmas Eve. What don't you understand?
It's the weirdest thing. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah. And we also see James Caan. He's like looking up his old girlfriend in his old college yearbook, and he's like, "Oh, gee, she had this baby and she never told me." And
yeah, but yeah. So we cut back to Buddy at Gimbel's.
Right.
He's getting ready. Santa's getting ready to make his appearance. The Gimbel Santa, and turns out not to be the Santa he knows, but an imposter, because it's a Santa played by Jersey's own Artie Lang.
Yeah, I totally forgotten that Artie Lang was the fake Santa in this movie.
Yeah, he pops up.
Yeah,
and they have a funny little back and forth.
And I love when Faison Love announces that Santa is coming, and Will Ferrell gets so legitimately excited. He's like, Santa!
Oh my God!
And it's just, he is so excited, and it's so over the top. It's hilarious.
He has those really good over the top moments where it's and like it gets close to how he was in like Old School, but it's kind of played more with a childlike innocence. So
Yeah.
But it's still pretty damn hilarious.
And that's why I'm so impressed by this performance, because like I said, Will Ferrell is just going for it, and this is the type of performance that could really easily backfire on somebody, especially that early in their career. But he pulled it off. It worked. I mean, the movie I think overall works, and I think his performance especially works. So
yeah. I think it worked. He had this one joke where he's trying to confront Artie Lang as who's playing the gimbal Santa, saying, "You're not the real Santa." Well, if you are the real Santa, then what song did I sing for you on your birthday last year? And he's like, "Well, happy birthday, of course." And he's like, "Damn it, that's right."
Yeah.
I don't know. That made me chuckle. It's like, I got it.
And he like pulls off Artie Lang's beard, and that's like traumatizing all the kids waiting to see Santa. And then like we see Artie tackle Buddy, and
he's like swings a bat at him at one point.
Yeah, it's this whole fight scene, and then Buddy gets arrested, and he apparently uses his phone call to call his dad. He calls James Caan.
And I mean, according to trivia, that one scene that they did, it had to be done in one take because it was too hard to rebuild everything. Which I get.
That makes sense. Yeah, they do destroy the Lego skyscrapers and stuff, and that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
But so after that big melee, Buddy gets taken to the joint, then Walter Hobbs has to come and bail him out,
right?
And because Buddy showed that picture of him and saying like, "Well, you know Susan well, so like you know something about my past. Like, so who are you? What do you want?" And
right.
Buddy's like, "No, I just wanted to meet you. Like, I thought you'd want to meet me because I'm your son." So then that's when he takes him. He tries to end this all by saying, "Let's go to the doctor for a DNA test," and that's when we get Dr. Favreau making a little cameo in here.
Yeah, Jon Favreau making a cameo in his own movie as a doctor who performs a blood test. I like this because it's so rarely in movies do you see people do like a rational thing like this, and it's like, yeah, of course, you take him to the doctor, you get a blood test, you determine that this guy really is his son, and Jon Favreau is like, yes, he is your son, and now here's where we get into the sort of the irrational thing, and he's like, and he has to move in with you now.
Yeah, again,
I don't get why that follows, but
again, that is a little off. But we also get like a little scenes where like Buddy's at the doctor's office and he's just constantly eating cotton balls, which I think is like a little funny runner. And as it turns out, according to the trivia, the cotton balls were actually just cotton candy that just
white cotton candy.
White cotton candy that hadn't been dyed yet. But the fact that Jon Favreau says, he's probably just in this arrested state of childhood development, but I think if he moves in with you, he can get out of his system that way. He'll like,
snap out of it. It's really specious logic.
It's really not the best.
It's the type of logic you only find in movies.
Yeah, it's very much like we need to get this movie started and moving along. So let's just say this.
This man is deeply psychologically troubled. So of course you have to take care of him.
Yeah, and again, Mary Steenburgen is fine with it. He's like,
she just rolls with it. She is like, this is a tolerant wife here. Like, hey, can my 30-year-old son, who you've never found out about before,
who I never found out about before,
who thinks he's one of Santa's elves, can he come and stay with us open-ended? And
can he be in the same house with our child?
With our under 10 child.
Yeah. That is. That's a reach. I'll go with it. I will suspend disbelief.
Yeah. So Buddy moves in. James Caan is getting bawled out at work for the blank pages on The Pigeon and the Puppy. He needs a new book by the 24th, or at least they need the concept of a new book that they can turn out in the next quarter, which again, way too fast to turn out a book.
Really is. Like, I was like, all right, I guess that people just are hoping they don't know how publishing works.
Yeah, and like at one point when they're getting ready for the pitch on Christmas Eve, like they get the idea just a few hours before the meeting, and he's like, well, how long do we have? 45 minutes. Well, work up some storyboards. And I'm like, what? 45 minutes and work up some storyboards? Yeah, sure, that's how long that takes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You can't even get the colored pencils out in that time or whatever the fuck.
I mean, they would be the shittiest looking storyboards ever.
There's some shit drawn on napkins, on cocktail napkins.
Yeah.
Here you go.
They are so half-assing this pitch, and I'm just gonna say James Caan deserved to get fired.
Yes. Wow. On Christmas Eve, Mr. Scrooge.
Yes, yes, he is. From what we see in this movie, he is very bad at his job.
Just can't hack it.
Apparently, they had a thing where he was like looking at a Cadillac brochure at his desk, and we see him like hide it when like his boss comes in. Which,
oh, all right.
Yeah, they never comment on it, and I didn't notice it on my own, but I read about it in the trivia. So,
oh, wow, yeah, I didn't realize the publishing world paid so well. You can get Cadillac money.
Well, I guess
I guess so.
rent at the Empire State Building can't be cheap. So,
oh, that's true. That's true.
Anyway,
yeah.
so we see Buddy bonding with his half brother Michael, and they get into a snowball fight after work, and Buddy uses like his elf powers. He like somehow has super speed.
Yeah, because he's really good at throwing snowballs and whatnot.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, like the two of them bond. I liked how like Buddy's just kind of like you said, he has this childlike innocence, and he kind of talks like a kid. Like he'll say, "Oh, so good news! I saw a dog today."
Yeah,
and like little non sequiturs like that made me chuckle. I don't know why.
Yeah, and I was reading apparently Favreau took some inspiration for Buddy's characterization from like his 1-year-old son at the time.
I could see
just
that.
Like yeah, and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
like Buddy saying, "Hey, why is your jacket so big?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a friend? Does he have a big jacket?
Just a lot of that.
Yeah.
And people are like, "What's wrong with you?" God.
Yeah.
But the fact that like Buddy and Michael get attacked by some kids with snowballs in Central Park, and Buddy's able to like be like a snowball Rambo and just take out all the kids. That's what Michael's
it just occurs to me, how does he have all these elf powers if he's a human? Like, does he? Does the North Pole or Santa have some method of granting elf powers? Because but they say Buddy only needs like 40 minutes of sleep a night, and he can also like do all this stuff super fast, like because he's got like dozens of snowballs in the time it takes Michael to make like 3.
Yeah, maybe it's nurture over nature. I don't know.
Maybe it is. I don't know. Yeah.
That
didn't really bug me when I was watching the movie, but now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait a minute. Where he is human? Where did he get the super speed?
Yeah, he should be able to make snowballs at a human like pace.
Right? Yeah, because they even say that early in the movie. He's only able to make 85 Etch a Sketches instead of 1,000. So
yeah, but like then he's able to do things like make a rocking horse out of like the TV shelving at Walter's house. And he's able to do all that stuff at Gimbal. So like he can do elf-like things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But I don't know. He works at an elf pace, but he's still a human. So
yeah.
they kind of.
I'm not saying this really bugs me, but it's just weird.
It is a little bit. It's a little bit weird. But yeah, like he does things like an elf. Like he loves like syrup on everything. Like
he's like pouring syrup on spaghetti, and Mary Steenburgen is like, "Wow, you must really like sugar." And he's like, "Is there sugar in syrup?" And she's like, "Yes."
Then yes.
Yeah, his diet is like candy canes, gumdrops, and syrup, I think.
Yeah, he just has it like syrup on him at the ready.
Yeah,
wild,
and still has all his teeth. So hey, kudos.
Hey. Mm-hmm.
They must have great dental care at the North Pole.
They're good.
Yeah. Santa's got a good insurance plan, I guess. So
yes. And and also a little trivia: the scene where Buddy eats different candies and pastries with spaghetti on it had to be shot twice because Will Ferrell vomited the first time.
Yeah, apparently because he was eating all these sweets for real. They were saying that he was like on a sugar high, and he was like sick and suffering from insomnia during the shooting of this movie because he was having so much sugar.
Oh my God! Really?
Yeah, that's what I read.
This was like his like Heath Ledger Joker, like where he was like the role that was just making him insane.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, or at least diabetic.
Okay. God, I give my all for this role.
So we see Buddy bonding with his brother Michael. They go back to Gimbals, and Michael notices how much Buddy is staring at Jovi.
I get it,
and I get it because 2003 Zooey Deschanel.
Hey,
I
now.
shouldn't even qualify that. Just Zooey Deschanel.
Yeah.
And,
exactly.
And he's like, hey, ask her out to eat food. And so he does that. And again, she's very forgiving for a guy she thinks was spying on her in the shower.
Yeah. And like even
that's usually a deal breaker. I understand.
I mean, like Buddy even says that Gimbals has like a restraining order, like he's not even supposed to be there.
Right.
But she just kind of like, well, I'll overlook that and go on this date with this guy.
I guess he's just supposed to be charming because he's so sweet and naive and stuff, and he just melts her cynical heart or something.
I guess so.
It's kind of an underdeveloped plot line.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not even really sure why this movie needed a romance subplot, but
yeah, it didn't really at all. Like I thought it could have just been fine with just Will Ferrell just being Ferrell, but I don't know.
Again, I'm not going to begrudge them putting Zooey Deschanel in their movie. I'm always happy to see her.
Hey, now.
It's still odd.
It is. Yeah. So at this point, we see like James Caan's character is still kind of bothered by Buddy and being around his kids. So he's like, well, maybe I should take him with me to work because since his wife can't do it, like he doesn't want him to be in the house.
Because she has a big presentation at work because that's how work works.
Yes. Work presentations, pitch meetings.
She's like, I've got a pitch meeting, and and he's like, well, you'll have to take him into work. And he's like, okay. So he dresses Buddy in a regular suit and regular human clothes, and takes him to work. Right.
With him. And of course, Buddy gets into all types of mischief over there. Like he answers Walter's phone saying, "Oh, Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?" Like little things like that made me chuckle.
Yeah, which is very cute. So finally, James Caan gets fed up with him, and he says, "Like, hey, I'm going to send you down to the mailroom.
It's a magical place.
It's a magical place, and
it is.
We have a cute scene with Buddy in the mailroom, and meanwhile, James Caan is like brainstorming with Andy Richter and Kyle Gass.
Yeah, his two writers, which I was like, oh shit, Tenacious D and Conan's friend.
Yeah, I totally forgotten that both of them were in this movie. This must have been during the time when Richter was away from the Conan show.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and and they're like, hey, here's our idea. We're gonna bring in Miles Finch, who's apparently this big deal children's book writer who's like written more books than Dr. Seuss.
Right.
And
he's a big deal.
He's a big deal. He's kind of a big deal. Yeah. He's got many mahogany leather-bound books.
Yes.
And his apartment smells of rich mahogany. When we cut back to Buddy in the mailroom, he's like won them over, like because he's been drinking at work with one of the people.
Yeah, because like one of the other mailroom workers, like I guess he's there on like a work release or something, and he's like,
they say like, oh, why are you here? He says work release,
and he's putting like he's putting booze in his coffee. Then Buddy's like, oh, I love syrup. That's syrup, right? Like, can I have some syrup?
Yeah, because it's in a little brown bottle. And and we see Buddy on a date with Zooey Deschanel. Again, probably the most unbelievable part of this movie. And this movie has Santa Claus.
That I believe.
Yeah.
The fact that Zoe... Yeah, I don't know. Did you... I guess that's something else. Like, did you think there was chemistry between Will Ferrell and Zoe? I didn't think it was quite there.
Well...
But, I mean, I understand I got to go along with it for the movie. But
I mean, not really. I mean, I'm not like... Oh my God, the electric sexual chemistry of Will Ferrell and Zooey Deschanel.
Oh my God.
It's not like that.
They're going to do it right here.
Why aren't the elves fucking yet?
Right here in Gimbals.
I wouldn't say they have a ton of chemistry, but I think they both are playing their parts well.
Yeah, I would say that.
I just feel like that subplot is very underwritten.
Very much so.
Like we see, like towards the end of the movie, we see Zooey Deschanel back in her apartment. Her apartment is nicer than anywhere I have ever lived.
It's pretty great. Wow, that's
and she's like got dinner, so I'm like, I guess her water was turned back on.
I guess.
Yeah, like, okay, when did that happen?
Later on.
Later on. I guess she earned lots of good elf money.
Right. I mean, Gimbals pays well.
I guess so.
Top dollar. But yeah, so they go on a date. He takes her to the same diner that has the world's best cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Of course, they he takes her to go skipping down the sidewalk,
Right.
revolving doors, like all the
Yeah,
tropes.
and his he kind of wins her over just because he's so charming. And yeah, I don't know what it says about Zoe Deschanel's life that she's attracted to this guy, but
Yeah,
okay.
I was like, all right, I guess. And then of course they kiss at Rockefeller Center at
Yeah,
the
he
ice
like
skating
kisses
rink.
her on the cheek, and she goes, "You missed," and then she like kisses him on the lips, and
Oh,
yeah,
sweet.
which is really sweet. And again, that does not happen in my experience.
No, it does not. When you wait outside a woman's bathroom for her, they don't
That tends to
normally.
be a deal breaker.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then that's when the cops get called.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
find.
but in the movies, like people can just storm in on other people in the shower all the time. Like in the Pitch Perfect movies, it's like, hey, let's form a cappella group together.
Yep.
And in this movie, it's like, hey, let's fall in love.
Exactly. So listeners, if you learn anything, don't stand outside of ladies' shower rooms, hoping that they'll fall in love with you, because we've both learned we learned the hard way.
It rarely happens.
Rarely
It
happens.
rarely happens. I mean, that's something you have to break out like a few months into a relationship.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't lead off with that. That's how.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying it shouldn't happen that early.
Yes, bide your time, because if you do it too early, cops get called in. You get a baton to the bean.
Yes, consent. That's what we're all about. Right. Ask permission first.
Absolutely.
Don't just bust that out.
Absolutely. See. Look at us being woke.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Finch comes in, the big pitch man.
Miles Finch, the guy who's the bigger deal than Dr. Seuss, and he's played by Peter Dinklage,
Jersey's own Peter Dinklage.
Yeah,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
great actor. I really like. I remember seeing him first in his film, The Station Agent. I don't know if you ever saw it.
I still haven't seen that. I know that was like his big breakthrough.
Yeah,
it's
just like a really small indie movie. I think Patricia Clarkson is in it. I think Bobby Cannavale as well. But I remember watching it years ago, and like I remember him being really good. Like I was impressed by his acting. I was like, oh, this dude's legit.
Yeah, he's an incredible actor, and I know that Dinklage, he traditionally like refuses to take roles that are stereotypical for people with dwarfism,
right?
And he doesn't take many roles that like play off his height or his physicality at all. Which, I mean, I think that's just such a commendable choice, because I mean that's got to be just such a tougher road to walk,
Yeah, no.
And this is like I think one of the few roles he's ever taken where it's like actually commented on his height, because like Buddy of course comes in on the big meeting, and Dinklage is playing like this very serious guy. He's in like a 3-piece suit, and he's like, okay, well, you have 5 hours of my time, and tell me what your concepts are, and I'll tell you where you're wrong.
Tell you why they suck.
Yeah, and he's shooting down Andy Richter and Kyle Gass's concepts, and then Buddy comes in and mistakes him for an elf, and Peter Dinklage is understandably very PO'd at that.
Yeah, I didn't know you had elves working here. Did Santa send you? I was like, oh,
yeah,
yikes.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, this guy's like taking the piss out of me, and I'm. He's very crabby. He's a very, very crabby man. He like physically attacks him, and then
I believe he like runs across the table and kicks him in the chest.
Yes,
like yeah.
Yes. And he finally James Caan is like, this is it. I don't care if you're my son. I want you out of here. I want you out of my life. He throws him out of the office.
Aww. Sad.
So we reached our crisis point.
Right, exactly. So Buddy's all bummed out. He leaves his life. But then later on, we see Andy Richter and Kyle Gass say, "Hey, we found we found Finch's notebook with all of his ideas in it. Can we just use these ideas for our big pitch?" Which can you do that?
Yeah, morally, that seems sketchy at best,
right? Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah, there are all these incredible ideas. We can make a book out of these. And it's like, without any further involvement from the guy who came up with the ideas. Okay. All right. You're going to get sued into oblivion, but okay. All
right. Whatever. Let's do it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
he's like, how long do we have for storyboards? 45 minutes? Great. That's plenty of time.
More than enough.
How many storyboards you want? 20? Oh, yes. Let's get...
that
I just was like, I thought was laughable.
Like, I'm not a storyboard artist, and I know that 45 minutes isn't enough time for that.
Yeah.
That's Gavald.
You know, I have an art background, and no, that's something that takes hours and hours and hours, if not days and days and days to work up. And like, you would be preparing for this for months, like weeks, if not months. And again, they have their meeting. You know, there's their Christmas Eve meeting, and we cut to like Mary Steenburgen, and she's on the phone with James Caan, and she's like walking out of a store with bags because she's doing some last minute Christmas shopping, and it's like, it's dark out, and so it's like, okay, it's at least like 6-7 p.m. at the earliest, and they're having this meeting for reasons.
Like, I feel like most people, like most, like most big time bosses and CEOs, like as soon as it's Christmas Eve hits, they're not in the office. Everybody's away. Everybody's out of town.
They're on a vacation. They're like skiing in Aspen or something.
Or
whatever CEOs do.
Yeah, what do wealthy people do? Like, they go to their third island or do whatever they want to on international waters. Yeah, they're off doing shit.
Yeah, they're doing all that creepy shit in international waters. Or if they're having an emergency meeting on Christmas Eve, it's probably like, how can we make the lives of our workers worse?
Absolutely. There we go.
You know, yes. How do we make them hate us more so that people will assassinate us in the street?
Wow. God.
What? It's a conscious choice, right?
Yeah. Eat the rich, everybody. That's what we're saying here at the SNL Nerds podcast.
Yeah, that's Viva la Revolution.
That's right. V for Vendetta.
I'm just saying 17th century France had the right idea.
They had some good concepts.
They had some good concepts. We should maybe bring some of those back. I mean, it's not that expensive to build a guillotine, people.
Viva la Revolution.
So they're having this pitch meeting, and then James Caan has his sort of moment of revelation. He's like, "Oh, I've been mean to my son buddy. I should not be mean to my son buddy. I should." Yeah, because it's Christmas Eve. I should go out and be nice to him. And
because
he really turns on a dime.
I think it's because Michael, like, because at this point, Buddy decides to leave their house and is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't do anything right. I don't belong here. I don't belong anywhere."
Right.
And he writes this all out on an Etch-a-Sketch. And so he
I do like the running gag that he's amazing at an Etch-a-Sketch, and he at one point has an Etch-a-Sketch with like a copy of the Mona Lisa on it.
Yes, exactly. He's a whiz at it.
Very funny.
But yeah, he's like, "I don't belong here. I don't belong anywhere. I'm gonna leave now." And then Michael sees it. Then he just runs into Walter's meeting, bursts in, saying, "Buddy's out there. Buddy ran away. We gotta go find him, Dad."
Right.
And then Walter's like, "I'm working. I'm in the middle of a meeting here." And it's like, it's always about work with you. You don't care. Buddy cares about everybody. You don't care. You don't care.
And then the boss man is like, "Hey, run away, kid." And he's like, "Hey, don't talk to my kid that way." And I feel like we needed a scene where like James Caan starts liking Buddy at least a little bit, but it's like, I hate you, you're annoying. I hate you, you're annoying. I hate you, you're annoying. Oh, I accept you now.
That change of heart was a little quick.
Like, he really turns on a dime.
I'd agree with you. Like, we need to see something there to sort of, like you said, like sort of win him, like say, like, well, Buddy isn't all bad, and he is my son,
right
type of thing.
Something. Yeah, we need James Caan to be a witness to some of Buddy's good parts.
Yes.
Because it just feels very abrupt.
Right.
But anyway, he runs out of the meeting to go find Buddy with his son.
Yeah, and the boss car's like, of course he does the boss thing. It's like, "If you leave this meeting, you're through here. You hear me? You're through."
Yeah, you failed your big presentation, which because this is what work is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Meetings, pitches.
This was the worst pitch ever.
Pitch. That's a pirate guy. What are you doing?
Anyway, so they run out into the street. Buddy's wandering around in the street. And Santa.
Yeah, he's like on the Queensboro Bridge, I think, at one point.
Yeah, and Santa, because it's Christmas Eve, he ends up crash landing in Central Park because his clausometer is dangerously down to 0.
Hey, that's from the beginning of the movie, John.
It is.
What?
It is. It all came back. I mean, just amazing foreshadowing.
Whoa.
And Buddy has to find an engine part that
the engine fell out, so he has to go find
that fell off. Yeah. So he has to find that in Central Park.
And he has to go fix it and because I think Papa Elf taught him how to do it, so he has to go find the engine and put it back on and help Santa get up off the ground again.
Right, and there's also like a local news reporter who's doing a piece about this unknown thing that's crash landed in Central Park. Like, people know that something's happened, but they don't know that it's Santa.
Yeah,
because people don't believe in Santa.
Exactly. I think at one point,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, a little girl says, "Oh, it was Santa in his sleigh." But a lot of people don't believe her.
They're like, "Oh, well, that's sweet." And I like at one point there's footage of Buddy like wandering through Central Park, and they stage it so it's exactly like the footage of Bigfoot.
That was hilarious. Yeah,
I love that. That's one of my favorite gags in the movie.
That's a nice little subtle joke. And of course, everybody's watching the news. Jovi is watching the news in her beautiful apartment and says, "Oh, that's
beautiful apartment.
That's Buddy." And then she goes to Central Park. Emily, Michael's mom, sees her on the news, and it's like, "Oh, I think that's Buddy. I should go."
That's Buddy. Let's go to Central Park.
Yeah, so they all go to Central Park. At one point, we see
apparently Matt Walsh. Yeah, he pops up and he's like aggressively flirting with the reporter.
Like, your eyes tell the story.
Yeah,
you got a great mouth.
He's like just on the edge of creepy.
Yeah,
he's walking that line between sweet and creepy.
Yeah. He's singing "Baby, It's Cold Outside" to her. It's it's a whole thing.
He's sneaking into her shower at the news station.
I really can't stay.
You shouldn't. I am in the shower. You should go get that cab. I don't care if the weather's bad.
Oh, God. But and then the reporter mentions that, now the Central Park Rangers are going to be looking into it to see what it was. And they've been known for their very gung-ho, aggressive tactics. And
apparently they were overly aggressive security-wise at the Simon and Garfunkel concert in like the 80s.
I was like, that's a random aside, but I like it.
What are they, like the Hells Angels? What's going on here?
It's Altamont all over again.
I miss people getting roughed up at the Simon and Garfunkel concert. I don't think that's a thing. I can't imagine anyone not being mellow at a Simon and Garfunkel concert.
The boxer does get me pretty amped. I will say that. Lie, lie, lie. Doom.
Like, the only time anyone has freaked out to a Simon and Garfunkel song is at the end of The Graduate, when Dustin Hoffman's like pounding on the glass, going, "Elaine, Elaine."
That's true. Oh, God.
Spoilers for The Graduate, I guess.
Wow. John, I was just about to watch it. All right, well.
Yeah.
A 40-year-old movie, or 40 plus, actually, at this point.
Geez. We're going on like 60 now,
oh.
I guess, because that was like 68, 67, 68, something like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Great movie, though.
Yeah.
Still, I rewatched The Graduate not too long ago. It holds up.
Mm-hmm. So Buddy's able to fix the engine. Michael and Walter meet up with Buddy and they see Santa. It's like, oh my God, he does exist. It's like like that M&M's commercial. They do,
and he looks like Lou Grant for some reason.
Yes, exactly.
I read on the IMDb trivia, this is actually like the third time that Ed Asner played Santa.
Really?
That's nuts, right? I mean, that's awesome, but that's nuts.
I get it. He has Santa-like qualities.
He played. Let me see. He played Santa in like another couple of movies in the 90s. So this was like the third time he played Santa Claus, and I'm not finding the pictures right now. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay,
I can see that. He's got a special skill set. He's played a good Santa.
Yeah. He's gruff but lovable.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So Michael is like, oh, Santa does exist, and he sees that one, and then Santa sees that once he believes in him, that his the clausometer is able to go up and is able to work on its own. So
I just found the movies, the other movies where Ed Asner plays Santa Claus. It's The Story of Santa Claus from 1996 and All of the Other Reindeer from 1999.
Okay.
So, folks, check out the other movies in the Ed Asner Santa Claus trilogy.
Yes, complete the trilogy.
The Asner Santa Claus universe. So
yes, the Clausiverse.
The Clausiverse, yes.
Absolutely. So, so Michael sees that, if I believed in you, that made the sleigh go. So I just need to make everybody believe in you, and you'll be able to sleigh off and go up in the sky. So he grabs
Santa's book
with everybody's name in it, and he goes to the TV reporter and reads everybody's names off and like what they want and everything, and people start believing
the famous list that Santa checks twice, and the reporter's like, oh, well, so then what do I want for Christmas? And he's like, you want a ring from Tiffany's, and you want your boyfriend to stop pussyfooting around and propose already.
Damn,
he's real. He got too real.
Wow. They're gonna have that talk now.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because it's on local television.
Yeah. Of course.
Balls in your court, Reggie.
Damn, Reggie.
So yeah, Zooey Deschanel also realizes that we need more Christmas spirit, and so she starts singing "Santa Claus is Coming to Town" because that's a big deal for her because she's self-conscious about singing in public for some reason. Like when you sing like Zooey Deschanel, why would you ever be self-conscious about singing? I don't get that.
Yeah, they never really go into, because in the beginning of the movies they say she's just trying to get to the holiday. She doesn't like the holiday. She doesn't like singing.
Right.
But they never explain like why or why that.
Nope.
Where her disdain for the holiday comes from.
It's a really underwritten part.
Yeah, it is. The more we talk about it, the more I realize, it is.
Like Zooey Deschanel and Mary Steenburgen both have pretty thankless parts in this thing. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. Oh, the two women in the movie. How about that?
Yeah, I know they're not really being used to the best of their abilities, which is a shame.
Do better.
Maybe they had more, and the scenes were cut out. I don't know, but anyway,
do better, Favreau.
But anyway, she starts singing "Santa Claus is Coming to Town" to increase Christmas spirit in people. And, look, honestly, you think New Yorkers would have learned their lesson after the Statue of Liberty incident on New Year's Eve, 1989?
Oh, yeah. I remember that was a memorable day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That was only like 14 years before. So what's going on, New York?
Let's remember.
You got that cynical again in a decade and a half?
You had the Statue of Liberty stomping through your town while Jackie Wilson played in the background.
I know. I mean, that's at least 20 years worth of goodwill there.
Come on.
You're defeating the painting guy, and
he is Vigo. You were like the buzzing of flies to him.
Yeah. We got rid of Vigo the Carpathian. Harry and Sally got back together. Yeah. It was a very memorable New Year's Eve, is what I'm saying.
Wasn't he Vigo the Butch?
I kind of want to watch Ghostbusters 2 again now.
I know people say, it's not that great, but it has some pretty strong moments.
It's a pretty good movie. It's just not the all-time classic of the first Ghostbusters.
Exactly.
If you grade it on a curve, I think it works.
Yeah, I mean that first one was lightning in a bottle. You're never going to capture that again.
Yeah, exactly. And 5 years later, the exact same people weren't quite able to recapture it. So, maybe lighten up on the Ghostbusters movies.
Yeah, lighten up, Mac.
Let's not give Paul Feig and Jason Reitman all this crap for not being able to make a classic Ghostbusters movie right out of the gate, because the same people weren't able to do that 5 years after the first.
Thank you. Yeah. Paul Feig, you couldn't make lightning strike twice. Boo. Yeah. Boo, Paul Feig, boo.
You didn't make an all-time comedy classic that only comes around once in a generation. How dare you?
Exactly.
And they were all women.
Couldn't get that camel through the needle's eye? Boo.
Yeah.
However the saying goes.
Yeah. A camel passed through the eye of a needle.
Yeah, eye of a needle. Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Yeah, the same chances of a rich man getting into heaven.
There you go.
See, the Bible knows what's up.
Yeah, amen.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
anyway, so James Caan's not quite going along with it. He's just mouthing the words. He's like, okay, I'll just put up a pretense and pretend like I'm singing in church. And
Yeah.
But his son calls him on it.
Yeah. It's like, Dad, you need to sing. You need to believe, Dad.
Yeah, and then as soon as he starts singing, there's a great shot of just the sleigh just swooping up into the sky behind him, which, yeah, I really like that. That's a good shot.
Yeah, because at this point, like the Central Park Rangers are catching on to Santa and his sleigh, then they're able to, Buddy's able to sort of halfway put the engine together, but they still take off, but there's this whole big chase scene.
But the engine falls off again, so they just need to be solely powered by Christmas spirit.
Yes, absolutely. And the spirit of Christmas is enough for them to take off, and then Buddy takes off with Santa in his sleigh, says goodbye to everybody, and they go off back to the North Pole.
Right. Yeah, and Christmas is saved.
Yay!
Because James Caan believes, and Zoe Deschanel can sing in public, and I'm assuming Mary Steenburgen had a subplot at some point. I don't know. She's accepted this unknown child.
Yeah.
This unknown 30-year-old who comes along.
This homeless man child into her home.
Yeah.
And her
in tights.
In tights. And her son came out unscathed, so it's all good.
Yeah, and she leaves her son alone with the guy.
Yeah.
Which, big leap of faith on Mary Steenburgen's part, I gotta say.
The biggest of leaps.
Yeah. Yes, you can pick up my child at school. Man I met 3 days ago.
Sure. Yeah, just don't get handsy with my kid and everything will be all right.
Anyway, so then we kind of skip ahead in time. Walter has started his own independent publishing company, and the first book they do is a book about Buddy. It's basically the story of the movie we just saw.
Right. Buddy becomes this, hugely critically acclaimed children's author, and it comes out a book called Elf about the entire movie we just saw.
Yeah, we see him reading from the book to kids, and it's very sweet.
Very sweet, and but he, so he stays in New York City, but he visits the North Pole from time to time, and then we cut to him with his newborn child that him and Jovi had. He impregnated Jovi.
Apparently he and Zoe Deschanel got together. They're visiting Bob Newhart at the North Pole. Zoe Deschanel's in a little elf outfit, so hey, if that's your fetish, go for it.
Merry Christmas.
And they have a little kid, and
the baby's as big as Papa Elf, and then we get another gag of Will Ferrell sitting on Papa Elf's lap. Yeah, and happily ever after. The end.
Yay.
Yeah. I still think it's a charming movie. Of course now, as as an older, wiser man, I see the few faults here and there. Some parts where you got to suspend disbelief, but overall, Will Ferrell makes this whole movie go. I think, really...
it's a fun movie. I'd give it a good 3 out of 5 stars. It's not one of my favorite immediate go-to Christmas movies like It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street or other things. But it's good. Yeah. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fun to revisit every once in a while.
Yeah, it's no Die Hard is what you're saying. I get it.
That was my Christmas Eve movie selection.
I knew it.
It's not Christmas until you see Alan Rickman drop off of Nakatomi Plaza.
Yes. Hello, Mr. Cowboy.
Yeah. Yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon.
Hans, Booby.
Booby.
I'm your white knight.
That movie's so good. That holds up so well.
It's so damn good. It still holds up.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's one of the best action films ever. And that's all there is.
Again, lightning in a bottle.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I don't know. Chef's kiss.
I love Die Hard. It's fantastic.
It's so wonderful. And I can't say enough good things about it. It's so good. It's just everything in it works, and
If only Die Hard had an SNL connection, we'd do it on this podcast in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm thinking hard. No, they're.
Did Alan Rickman ever host?
Unfortunately, they never made Alan Rickman a cast member.
Damn it!
So, yeah,
it's your loss, SNL.
We got Reginald Vell Johnson, we got Bonnie Bedelia, we got. I don't know the name of the guy who played Argyle.
Mr. Argyle.
Yeah.
All right.
No, the limo driver.
Yeah. But I don't know his
Yeah.
real name either. But all
Yeah.
right. Well,
I don't know if I've ever seen that guy in any other movie, but anyway.
I feel like he must have been in something.
Yeah, I feel like he must have been. Yeah, but
Must have been.
anyway.
But yeah,
So Elf, we like it.
huge film, huge hit. I mean, according to trivia, Will Ferrell turned down $29 million to be in a sequel in late 2014 for this film.
Yeah, he was saying like it. Well, apparently, like he and Jon Favreau clashed a little bit creatively during this
Oh.
movie. Like I was reading that like Will Ferrell and Adam McKay did some uncredited rewrites, and I think they were trying to push it in more of a PG-13 direction. But Jon Favreau was like, "No, we need this to be a family friendly thing." And
I get
so
it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's a good call on Jon Favreau's part.
Yeah,
And
I get it. Yeah.
and Will Ferrell's also said like, yeah, it just wouldn't look right if I was like, if I reprised Buddy at my age. And I think that's fine. I don't think everything needs a sequel.
Yeah, no, I actually appreciate that he didn't go for a sequel because like we're in this world now where once a film does well, like sequel, prequel, let's expand the universe in this world and do
let's make a sequel to this thing 30, 40 years after the fact. Oh, why? Oh, it didn't do well. Well, I wonder why that was.
We'll revisit it in 10 years and restart this all over again.
I mean, surely, when everyone's collecting Social Security, then we'll really have something.
Yeah, and like so, I respect the fact that I was like, no, there's just this one movie. We told the story we want to tell, and that's it. Let's just let this one thing be the one thing.
Yeah, there's something to be said for doing a good one and done.
Yeah, absolutely. Stories need an end at some point.
Yeah. But I like this movie. I feel like overall I could have gone for a little more Bob Newhart and Ed Asner personally, but
yeah, fair enough.
I can never have enough of those guys.
No, absolutely, I hear you.
Yeah.
But I mean, enough of us blabbermouthing. Let's go to the social medias and see what our fine listeners thought of this film.
Well, let's do that. Let's
see. Pulling up Twitter right now. Oh, we got a tweet from Boardman Gets Paid. La Hotline.
All right. Okay.
Saying, hi, guys. Still on Twitter. LOL. Well, we're this end of the year. We're out of here. Hope everyone has a happy new year. Was never a huge fan of Elf, but I see everyone's appeal to it. All I got. LOL. Love you guys.
And let's see, over on Facebook, we got our friend Shari Fesco, who says, I just listened to a great podcast called Pop Culture 5, where they do their 5 essentials in a variety of topics. This week was holiday movies, and they had an interesting discussion about Elf. I look forward to hearing both of your takes. I am wishing you both the very best in 2025.
Okay. Far out. There we go.
And Steve Harold says, thank Buddha they didn't tarnish this with an unnecessary sequel.
Indeed. So. Yep. We just talked about that.
Agreed.
Awesome. And that's the episode, guys. Thanks again for listening to our podcast as always. Last one of the year, and wow.
Finished off another one.
We did it. And as always, you can follow us on Blue Sky because we're gonna be all up off of Twitter.
Because we're perfectly fine with calling it Blue Sky.
Yes, exactly. That I can say. Yes, I love saying it. So find us on Blue Sky at SNL Nerds.
Because we refuse to use X.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, like I think but we're like we said before, and next year we're gonna be slowly phasing away from X, like for sure, because it ain't getting no better anytime soon.
Nope.
And as always, you can
So join us there at SNL Nerds.
Yeah,
on Blue Sky,
and you can follow me on all the socials at Darren Credible, DARIN Credible.
And you can follow me on the socials at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic. And come say hi.
Yeah, check out our YouTube page. We're on the YouTube. Listen to us there. Donate to our Patreon at Non-Productive.com. Give us some money, please. 'Tis the season. What do we got to like? Ring a bell in a pot, like what they do in the department stores. There, give us some money, damn it.
It's think of us as a late Giving Tuesday gift.
Exactly.
So,
Boxing Day or whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've already passed those, but it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. And that's it. Oh, should we tell people what we're gonna do on the next episode? You think?
Let's.
All right.
Let's, Darren Patterson. You had a great idea for next week, and I'm very impressed and honestly rather tickled that you came up with this.
Well, I mean, I came up with it because I know last year we did Holmes and Watson, and I know
was that last year? Or was okay?
I believe so.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
it was the first one we did. And because I know you're a huge Sherlock Holmes fan, you're a bit of a aficionado.
That is correct. I'm a Holmesian, or sometimes they're called a Sherlockian.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Did they call? Well, I shouldn't say that.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say though, did they call you like Holmes-mosexual? Yeah, that's kind of funny. Is that what they're called? Holmes-mosexuals?
There's probably some corner of the internet that's called that, but no, okay. I've not encountered that myself.
All right, they're on the dark web. Got it.
Yeah.
Right, but so we figure, hey, there's an SNL alum that's done a Sherlock Holmes film.
Two.
Yeah. Mr. RDJ, Mr. Downey Jr. himself. So first episode of the new year, we're talking about Sherlock Holmes, the Guy Ritchie film from 2009.
And that'll be just in time for Sherlock Holmes's widely regarded canonical birthday of January 6th. So that's a fun tie-in, and I'm looking forward to revisiting this movie. I haven't watched it in quite a while. So yeah. So it'll be fun.
Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law, Rachel McAdams, Mark Strong, Eddie Marsden. So this is a solid cast. So tune in and check us out. Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, currently streaming on Max and I think a couple other places.
You can find it. It's around.
So check it out. Yeah, check it out. Watch the movie, check it out, form your own opinion, and then come back and hear our objectively correct opinions.
Yes. Have your incorrect opinion, and then we'll give you the answers with our correct opinion.
Yeah, exactly. and then you'll listen to us and you'll find out. Oh, that's what I should think. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll be next week here on the SNL Nerds. We wish you all the happiest of New Year's. We'll see you back here in 2025 with Sherlock Holmes. But until then, Nerds out!
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.